for watching. We are live launching the brand new Bright City album, Still Volume 2. I'm Deanna Fletcher, and we're live on YouTube with Paul. Paul heads up Bright City. How you doing?
Very good. Thanks for having us.
Now, we're going to go through the album tonight. We're going to be chatting with some of your team who are involved in different areas of the project. We're also going to be answering your questions live. So if you have any questions, you can just post them, on YouTube below comments. You know where to go. You know what to do. Post your comments for Paul and his team, and we're going to answer as many of your questions tonight as we can. And we're going to be listening to the new album as well, which comes out on Friday.
Yeah, we're excited. Yeah, it's good.
So tell us a little bit about Bright City, who you are as a community.
Yeah, so Bright City is the family of artists at St. Peter's, all based at St. Peter's, Brighton. Local church in our city, Brighton, made up of dancers, musicians, producers, and visual artists. So across, we break Bright City down in sort of 4 streams. We call them: dance, music, production, and visual arts. And amazing community of people, all with a vision to see our church, our city, and our world come alive through worshipping Jesus. So it's worship at the heart of it, but through art and hoping to reach people for Jesus. So, yeah.
And we're talking specifically tonight also about worship. You've put out a few worship projects in the past, but this one is lyric-less.
Yeah.
Singing on this one. It's an instrumental album. What drew you to get involved in Still Volume 2 with Integrity Music?
Yeah, well, when our friends Integrity first talked to us about the project, we were straight away really excited because we believe worship is actually more than just singing, and that we believe like music itself is anointed as well, and can carry God's presence, and these other forms of art as well. So we were really excited about the prospect of doing a worship record, but that didn't have vocals on it. So we kind of it was a no-brainer for us. We were straight in. It was an exciting opportunity.
Well, the album's not out till Friday, but we're going to be streaming some of the songs now, giving people a bit of a sneaky sort of listen before it's available in stores. And it's available everywhere. You can Spotify it, you can iTunes download it, you can buy the album, whatever you want. It's out on Friday, which is very exciting. Should we get to our first song?
Oh, yeah, I'd love that.
Do you want to introduce it?
If I can remember which one it was.
I'm putting you on the spot. It's Spirit Breakout.
Spirit Breakout. Oh, amazing. It's my favourite.
I know, it's your favourite song. So for tonight, for our first listen to the new album, Still Volume 2, this is Spirit Breakout by Bright City. That's so good. We have a live studio audience as well, in case you haven't noticed.
Yeah.
Who's in the room tonight?
So this is a lot of our Bright City team. Say hello, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
This would be mainly our music stream. So this would be our musicians, and a lot of these guys would have played on the record and arranged the record and recorded it.
A lot of young people as well. I'm not seeing too many faces over the age of
Thank you.
30. Is Bright
I think
City-
I'm the oldest, yeah.
Are there a lot of young people involved in your church and in your art community?
Yeah, definitely. I think Brighton as a whole is probably quite a young city, a lot of young people, a lot of universities, and but yeah, so a lot of actually I don't know how many of these guys, but a lot of our team would go to the Brighton Institute of Modern Music, or so there is a lot. Yeah, we are quite a young team, if I don't say so for myself, but yeah.
Hey, just a reminder, we are live through till 9 o'clock tonight with the Bright City team as we explore the brand new album which comes out on Friday. So post your comments and your questions below if you have any questions for the team. And throughout the night, we'll be introducing different people from the project. So there's been a bit of a musical chairs already during the last song. Expect more of that. Who joins us on the sofa this evening?
Double mic. This is going to be good. My name's Ollie. I was doing lots of the kind of visuals and most of the things you would see when you listen to the music that doesn't have words.
Which is good because it's an instrumental album that are no words.
Yes,
So thank you for the artwork.
That was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, and I'm Henry, and I'm involved with the visual arts stream of Bright City. So people like Ollie, the kind of videographers, photographers, designers, artists. The list goes on.
Well, I like that you guys really do refer to yourselves as an art community. Some churches might say we're a worship ministry, we're a creative department or ministry. Why do you identify as being artists specifically? Don't be shy.
I think it's we've sort of wrestled with it a bit, and that phrase, we call ourselves a family of artists. But I think we wanted all our team and our community to sort of own that they were artists, and that God had anointed them for that, and so in some ways it was like a statement. Yeah, we are artists. We were kind of claiming it, and we really believe that art across all its forms, actually, when done for God, and can really reach people in ways that maybe other forms can't. If someone sees a dance or hears a piece of music or sees a piece of art, that can reach people and places in people's hearts, I suppose, that other things can't. So we're really passionate about that and really believe that Jesus can impact people through art.
Well, we want to talk tonight, of course, about the influences behind creating the album from a musical standpoint, but also tonight we're seeing all these amazing visuals that you created, Ollie, and your team, Henry, and also, of course, the cover art. Let's talk about the cover art. Like, where do you get inspired? Where does your inspiration come from to create almost like brand's not the right word, but you've obviously gone for a specific look and a specific feel for this project. How does that happen? Does it just creatively fall in your lap, and who puts it all together?
Great question. Because obviously this is part 2, still volume 2, there was definitely a theme kind of running from the first one. So it was a good starting point. It wasn't like a complete blank canvas, which was really helpful. So then we came up with kind of 4 overarching concepts and then narrowed it down to 1, which was kind of this kind of like you see on the front cover. So we decided to go for something that was Brighton, something that didn't have people in it because it's a very kind of faceless project. And we went out on a double kayak, me and Zach, who's not here tonight, who's part of Henry's team as well. And just decided to take photos of the West Pier, but kind of submerged a bit within the water. So that was...
Freezing cold day.
It was a really cold day. We got out of the car and thought, we want to go home, but we went for it. But it was good. So they gave us kind of hoods and gloves and all sorts of stuff, but we got it, which is good.
It sounds like you're given the space to go out and do all this kind of stuff as well, which is pretty cool. So Henry, how do you encourage your team? Like, how do you creatively just give them the space that they need, or even the boundaries that they need perhaps, to go out and make great art?
Well, the team have amazing ideas. I mean, all I kind of do is just my role was just to release Ollie and Zach to kind of do it and do their thing, because there's so many amazing artists within the team who are kind of involved with all sorts of different projects. outside of the church and doing amazing things. And so it's just kind of encouraging them to keep going and seeing what kind of emerges from them.
Now, as a creative community, as an artistic community, you're involved in music, but you're also involved in all sorts of other things. So when Fringe comes to Brighton, or when the next Fringe happens in Brighton, you're going to get really involved this year, putting on an art show, which is cool. Do you think that art lends to like easy evangelism? Is it easier to get people in the door of the church if you're doing it through art rather than maybe a Sunday service invitation?
Well, I think as Paul was saying, we feel like art can reaches people in a way that other things can't. For some reason, it connects us kind of emotionally and spiritually. And I think in a city like Brighton that is so kind of creative and people are kind of already doing such amazing creative things, there is this kind of search for meaning and kind of spirituality. And so it's amazing to be able to do art for Jesus and kind of him to be our kind of center and the reason behind what we do, really.
Yeah, and maybe just to add to that, I think one of the things that we feel really excited about having done this project, in that it's instrumental, so it doesn't have the lyrics that sometimes can be a bit of a barrier to people. You know, even when they come in church on a Sunday or hear the songs, it's like, oh, it's quite. We feel really excited that with this project, it's a really easy bridge. You know, this particular one, because we do believe it's worship, so it's anointed and so kind of carries God's presence in some way, but a really easy bridge for our team and to give to their friends and say, oh, hey, check it out, it's from our church, and who knows what God can do through that. So yeah, we feel excited.
I suppose on an instrumental devotional album, people can kind of very much draw their own ideas from it or their own experiences, and they're not kind of infringed by someone else's lyrics, I guess, in a way. So I'm interested to know, did you listen to the album first and then go and create the artwork for it? Or did you have a concept based on the language of what you felt the album would be?
I think it was an ongoing project. I think the whole thing happened so fast. I think it was all happening at the same time. I think specifically for the visuals for the app, so this is very different. So normally, nowadays when you create something visually, it's quite snappy or quite fast or it's over in 3 minutes. But with this, when you're creating something that has to be almost an hour long, you have to completely flip your mind around and then be happy to sit on a shot or sit in a place for at least kind of a minute or 2 minutes, which is so countercultural to what we've been doing. But I think when you hear the music, there's so much depth to it, like you say, because the lyrics don't drive you too much. You can take it wherever you want to take it. So I think for us, it wasn't easy, but it was definitely lends itself for what we did.
I would think though as well, like not being a graphics designer or anything myself, but working in broadcasting and being a part of local church and that kind of thing, we do kind of live in a world where everyone's creating for church, or they're creating for God, they're creating for evangelism. But we do it very quickly. Everything's very fast, very fast, very fast. We've got to get that out. Do you feel that if we took more time, I mean, this album is about finding your quiet space with God and being still for a few moments and really taking the time to enjoy God's presence. Do you feel that if we took more time, should we take more time as artists to create and allow God to speak before we then publish it to the world? Is that something the church should be doing more of?
It's a big question, but Paul's got an answer.
No, I don't know if I've got an answer. I think we do these monthly team nights, and one of the things that we do in these team nights is there are really three things, our team nights: worship, community, and inspiration. And on the inspiration one, we would probably talk a lot about how we invest in our own creativity and as a team. And I think every person's process is different, but I think we definitely would all have in common that you need to be intentional about creativity and carve out time, and that can be really costly, particularly when we've got busy family lives and different things going on. To sort of be intentional about, I'm going to take some time here and really sit with this, so that is definitely a value for us. I think taking time over something, probably also in terms of the things that we've tried to craft over the years, we definitely have made sure that whatever we've released we feel really happy with and proud of. I think that's not to say we ever think it's perfect, or you know, I mean, it's more just that we've really laboured over it, particularly things like songwriting. We've really laboured, and is that fair to say, Hen?
Yeah, and what's also good about having time is time to kind of get things wrong, and like create stuff that doesn't necessarily have to go anywhere or have a meaning, and kind of have extra time to kind of, stuff that's not necessarily for a specific thing, and or stuff that actually that we don't want to use it, and you kind of can still like build upon it. That's what kind of I've found with having a bit more time is not everything's so pressured to be like this has to be the best thing because I haven't got any more time, but like opportunity to kind of get stuff wrong.
And I think just to add to that, I think being surrounded by so many incredible people that are always kind of challenging you or running that a bit further, it encourages you to just keep pushing in and not just settling. I think it's really helpful to have people around you that you're constantly inspired by because it just pushes you.
Yeah, definitely.
Create space and be intentional are some very good pieces of wisdom so far. Thank you very much. Remember that you can ask your own questions. I'm not going to do all the asking. If you have a question, post in the comments below here on YouTube, and we will do our very best to answer as many as we can throughout this evening. Let's head to another song from the new album, Still Volume 2. This is Build My Life by Bright City. like that one. I love that you've created a worship album that's about enhancing stillness and developing our quiet time, but it's like electronic. It like makes me have a disco in my mind, as well as have my quiet moments. Let's introduce our new member on the couch. New member on the couch, everyone. Yes. What's your name, sir, and what do you do?
My name is Johnny Bird, and I am a music producer.
Well, welcome, Johnny Bird. Now, how much of this album was actually Johnny's responsibility? People wrote, people created artwork, but really it was mostly Johnny's work?
Oh yeah, you were definitely the mastermind, yeah.
Not mastermind, gatherer of people.
I like that.
Well, we made the whole album in mine and my wife's house.
Which used to be this house. This used to be your
We used to
apartment,
live in this very flat.
but it's not now.
No, we had to move house
Because we moved in.
Yeah.
Fab. Well, we've got some questions. Before we get to some more conversation, let's go to some questions from people at home who are watching on the live stream tonight. For example, here is one from Fernando who says, what is the purpose of your heart when you create a song? That could be writing the song. That could be repurposing someone else's song. What's your heart behind a song when you create it?
I think for me, and I think this would speak for a lot of us, for all of us actually, there'd be that thing of wanting to help people, particularly when we're thinking about worship songs, help people connect with Jesus. So sort of be that bridge between the person and Jesus. That song can help them sort of connect emotionally and spiritually with Jesus, and sort of be drawn towards Him. Really, I think that would be definitely a heart. What would you say here?
Yeah, I think that. It depends. A lot of songs would be wanting to remind people of who God is and who we are, and that kind of revelation. Other songs have been to kind of unlock, freedom or ways of, other songs like Come Holy Spirit. We often write for a context and have that kind of in mind, whether that's at service at St. Peter's or, I don't know. John?
I love it. Well, I'm going to have to go into another question, Johnny, because we've got so many. But I have questions specifically for you, sir, written with you in mind. Now, of course, this is still Volume 2. And you were commissioned by your friends at Integrity Music to get involved and create this album. Still Volume 1, which we referenced earlier, of course, made by Rivers and Robots, which we all very much enjoyed. And they're watching this evening. Thanks for watching, you guys. Rivers and Robots would like to know whose volume is better, Rivers and Robots or Bright City?
Rivers and Robots.
They would also like to know from the guys, which track did you most enjoy working on? Johnny.
We were just chatting about this earlier. My favourite song is a song called So Will I, which I think has ended up being the last track on the album, and I like it for the reason that it goes on the sort of biggest journey. It kind of starts as this crazy modular synth driven into like a very chilled sort of ambient moment, and then sort of ends in this giant crescendo, kind of the biggest moment on the whole album. It just sort of sounds like the end of the world.
Now, the album, Still Volume 2, it includes some of your original songs, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but also you've covered songs in an instrumental way by some very popular Christian songwriters or from other local churches. How do you know, for a project like this, which songs to tackle that have been published and written by other people?
Well, the way that we approached this whole project was that we, as I say, we gather monthly on these team nights, and we took one of these team nights and we said to all our team that we were going to take this project on, and we're super excited, but we'd love everyone's input. So we got everyone to sort of into groups and write down big sheets of paper what songs have been important to them, and do they feel are important to the sort of journey of St. Peter's Church so far, that we might sing on Sunday, or and so that was a really fun process, because we came out with about 40 kind of ideas of songs, everything from some of the hymns you hear now on the record, like Before the Throne of God Above, When I Survey, all songs we do on Sundays, and then some of the more contemporary songs that we love, like Build My Life, that are important to us. And we sort of whittled that list basically down to the 13 that you hear, and just, I don't know how we sort of whittled it down. You chose the ones you liked, I think.
Yeah, I think it was important that we chose songs that came out of the character of us as a worship team, and songs that we would actually play and really connect with. That sort of really made it easy, not easy, but when it came to creating something, the songs were part of our story anyway. So it just gave us a chance to reimagine them and come up with creative ways of delivering the songs. Yeah.
And I think that was important to us, that they were songs that we did use on Sundays, and we'd seen connect with people and seen amazing moments in our church, through these songs. That was important to us because we wanted the record to be a sort of like the sound of St. Peter's. This is, and now it's been fun, hasn't it? Because though it's an instrumental album, we've now been using some of the arrangements and putting them into Sunday, putting some words on top, which is very controversial. But
Breaking the contract.
Yeah. So like Great Are You Lord, for example, we now do that version that you hear instrumentally. We now a sort of chopped up version of that to a track on Sundays, and that's been amazing. So,
well, we're going to talk a little bit more about your treatment to some well-known songs in a few moments, and have a chat about this next song we're going to hear, which is an original. We'll find out more about the story behind it after everyone gets to hear it. This is Forever Yours. I love it. This is a good album. I hope you guys feel really proud of yourselves. In a good, like, honestly, this is a great album. I'm saying this, I like this album. Anyway, we are previewing tonight Still Volume 2. It's out on Friday. It's the second in the Still series from Integrity Music and has been created for us by Bright City, very lovingly, actually. Now, Forever Yours, which we just heard, you guys wrote. It's one of the few originals on the album that you've written, not because you don't write a lot of songs, but because you chose to really focus on some other amazing songs that have inspired you, written by other people. So tell me about writing Forever Yours. I know there are no lyrics in this version, but I'm sure you were inspired some way, somehow to write it.
So with some songs, I guess it's like it is a lyric or it's a theme or stuff that is the first thing we have, and we write it around that. What with Forever Yours we actually had was more of like a riff and the type of song we wanted it to be, the kind of vibe, upbeat, kind of more of a party song. And so that was kind of what we had in mind, and wrote it to be a song of freedom and to release people in that. And which is what's been amazing as we've been able to lead it, and especially our church, to see the kind of freedom that's come from that.
Well, let's go to another question from home. If you have any questions, you can write them in your comments box now. We are live on YouTube and we will answer as many questions as you can between now and 9 o'clock. Not that long to go. But Jolly Jimmy, I apologise, says, what's the art/music direction for this album? Specifically art direction. Henry.
That's a really good question. Well, we wanted it to be authentic to us, so we wanted to kind of bring our own kind of creative ideas with that and make it feel Brighton and urban. But musically, we wanted to go for something that like immersive, post-rock kind of genre. Johnny will tell you more about the music direction, I think. Yeah. But that kind of vibe, yeah, very like atmospheric, immersive, buildy.
It's music that a lot of you, us guys, I say us guys, you guys would listen to, isn't it?
So I'll always have instrumental music on in the house. So when it sort of came to this album, I was like, oh great, I could probably do that, because I just love the atmosphere it creates. Again, it sort of allows you to sort of drift away and think about things without the distraction sometimes of words. I thought the album should definitely sort of make you feel like fully immersive, like you sort of drift off as you listen to it.
Now you say that, and I mean, yes, Volume 1 by Rivers and Robots was very atmospheric and beautiful, and I've listened to that going to sleep many times, I'm not going to lie. You've given us an electronic album. So it's instrumental, but is it still though? Can you meditate listening to this album? Genuine question.
Absolutely. I would say you could. And it kind of, well, there was a bit probably like the songs don't necessarily go the way that you think they're going to go, but it's kind of like tricks you. I think it kind of makes you reflect a bit deeper, thinking about, and kind of takes a lot away from each individual track, I think.
I think even though the record's called Still, it's more about taking the time out to spend time with God and to sort of have the space and the environment to do that, and hopefully the music will help you do that.
Because I love, there's this verse in Exodus 14, verse 14, that became for me, felt like it really encapsulated sort of the heart behind the record and this theme, which is that when Moses says to God's people, the Lord will fight for you, you need only to be still. And so I think there's sometimes where you can be still and it's totally silent and quiet, and I think that's really important, for our own souls. And but I think there's also times to be still and sort of take courage, So I listen to stuff like So Will I, and sort of take a lot of courage from it. I'm still being still in it, but it, it's not just necessarily quiet. It's like, right, you are stilling your own soul, but I think you're sort of taking courage and, right, God's fighting for me and there's hope, so anyway, I think there's definite moments, aren't there? There's definite just breathing moments on the record. So there is all that it's definitely a definite journey, which we wanted to create a journey.
Journey, though, I think is the perfect word. It's definitely an album, having heard it a few times myself now. It's out on Friday, by the way. But you can have it at home in your quiet time, in your kind of closet space, or however you like to worship God on your own. But I feel like I've had it in my headphones, like on the bus and like on the train, and just taken it with me around the city. And actually I feel like it like almost lended my own personal orchestra electronic movement to like, it feels like I was in an Instagram commercial or something. I was loving it. I was really enjoying it. But let's talk a little bit more about this concept of being still. You've touched on it already, but also you've written, back to you, Paul. You've also written a devotional series, which is available now to stream through Spotify. Tell me about writing a devotional series based on this concept.
Yeah, well, I wrote all the devotionals, having, we as a team had recorded all the music, so that was really helpful, and we'd been sitting with this theme still through arranging all these songs, and so it was something I was really thinking a lot about and praying about, and thinking, what does it mean to be still? So I absolutely loved going through the Bible and, thinking about that theme. And so, yeah, the 5-day devotional, I hope that'll be helpful to people. It's sort of, each devotional is around this subject of being still before God. But it can look different. So there's one around being still in our pain, where Mary was still at the cross. She was... when Jesus died, all her hopes dashed, her son unjustly punished. She thought everything that she could have imagined was probably falling apart, but she was still there at the cross. She stood still at the cross. She was still hoping, still waiting, and she was one of the remaining sort of disciples, if you like, that were, and we know what follows in terms of the resurrection. But so there's themes like that around stillness, but there's also the more classic kind of being still before God, taking time out, and just acknowledging that God is God. I love this verse in Deuteronomy 4 verse 6 that talks about acknowledge and take to heart today that the Lord is God. And that sort of acknowledging God, I think, is worship. Saying, God, you're God, that's worship. So I think, and stillness is really an appropriate response, I think, for God,
Yeah.
when you actually be still.
Absolutely. Well, the next song we're going to hear definitely reflects on the cross. You've taken When I Survey, a classic, beautiful hymn, which is very appropriate as well as we're in Lent, as we approach Easter. You've taken a classic hymn and you've given it your own personal twist. You've brought your electronica to it, and goodness knows whatever else. I love it. Before we hear it though, for everyone at home, of course, who hasn't got the album yet because it's out on Friday, Johnny, just briefly, how do you put your own personal style or stamp on such famous songs like this?
Well, it really was a team effort. I mean, there's so many people who it was a struggle to kind of get everybody involved, because we just wanted the sort of breadth and characters. So how we'd work on like a song per day in my house, in my bedroom, and whoever was in the studio that day would really sort of influence how that song turned out. So it was really a collaborative process, and you came up with cocktails and combinations that you never would have thought of on your own. And that's the beauty of team, really.
The beauty of team. Well, let's hear it. This is Bright Cities, When I Survey. That's one of my favourite hymns as well. You did such a good job with it. Some more questions from you at home coming in. Oh, before we do that, let's introduce Sarah. Sarah joins us on our hot couch. How are you, Sarah?
Great, thanks.
Just briefly, who are you? What do you do?
I'm Sarah.
Hi.
Yeah. And I am a part of the Bright City team. I head up the music stream, which is all of this
So
rowdy
you
lot.
kind of oversee all the people,
Yeah.
kind of a pastoral leadership kind of role?
No, that's Paul. I don't have to do that bit.
Okay.
No.
She definitely does that
yeah,
as well.
cool.
Yes,
She's definitely
there are-
very
yeah,
pastoral.
definitely parts of that, and then just getting them all in ship shape.
And just in case it comes up later, the two of you are indeed married,
Yes.
Johnny and Sarah.
We are. yeah. We are.
Just
Yeah.
in case, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's get some questions in from you at home. Stevania, I love that name, wants to know, were there any specific emotions you wanted to portray or convey during these songs?
I think the album we were trying to sort of represent life, so hopefully there'll be something of every emotion, you know, laughter, tears, definitely a lot of tears, you know, joy, just, yeah.
Struggle,
Yeah. We just wanted to represent, you know, the team and, you know, everybody goes through life and...
And also, here's another question that's come in from home. Hannah, she wants to know, how important is the city of Brighton to your work and to your music?
Yeah, it's central. Yeah, I mean, even the name Bright City is from where Jesus says in Matthew 5, a city on a hill can't be hidden, but is also a sort of play on Brighton and Bright City. So yeah, so it's central, and you know the visuals and all the stuff that we've been seeing with the songs is all the city of Brighton.
Well, let's talk a little bit about community as we're talking about your city, as we're talking about the people involved in this project, as we've been doing all night. And it is important to celebrate all the people involved. Sarah, you oversee all the people involved, so you must have a really good idea of who's involved. Does this record, Still Volume 2, does it represent the worship team at large from St. Peter's, from your local church? Is everyone involved in this project? How do you create space for that many people in a creative community to come and be involved in one album?
Good question. Definitely a huge amount of the team are represented on this album. I think there were maybe 5 drummers and sort of from all the instruments, there's a few people on each. There's not kind of one person that's played on the whole thing, and that's I think everyone's represented. I think you can and then you hear that in the kind of different, like Johnny was saying, sort of the combinations of people that end up in a room together were the thing that brought each of those songs to life and kind of helped to reimagine them. So I think it definitely represents, and even that we're then so easily able to draw from this album to use on Sundays and to bring into our bring back into our worship life in this sort of reimagined way. I think sort of shows that, it's quite representative.
So what does community look like for Bright City? Like, how do you guys do community together?
How? Well, not often like this. We don't tend to do a live stream every Monday. But we do meet really regularly. So as the music stream, we meet very regularly to actually just to play music together. We sort of do that on a weekly basis. A lot of us write together, songwrite together. Just we find that you can't necessarily do that on a Sunday when you're there serving, and so we try and carve out time in the week. That thing, making space again. We make space to just sort of hang out and during the week, and also these monthly team nights are an opportunity for the 4 streams, the production, visual arts, music, and the dance team to all get together. And everyone, as much as they're involved in Bright City, also a lot of people are involved in their own sort of projects, and there's a lot of people who are sort of freelancers working in all different creative industries. And actually it's great that there's so much of our team that people are able to draw into their own individual projects as well. So there's a lot of crossover.
How, as a local church, can we support whether it's musicians or artists well? How do you do that as Bright City?
Oh, it's definitely something that we're always trying to get better at. Food,
Give them food.
Give them food. And that as well, I think was mentioned earlier, the inspiration thing is key, and we definitely get inspired by working with one another and seeing what people are doing, whether that's for the church and as part of their serving or for the city. We're definitely always getting inspired by one another and are better artists for working together. And yeah, I don't know if that answers that.
I think that's a great answer to the question. We're going to hear one more track from the album. We're almost out of time, but not yet. Of course, Still Volume 2 is available on Friday. And Sarah, you co-wrote Rock of Our Salvation. Tell us a little bit about that song before we play it for everyone.
Yeah, so we had a sort of a writer's retreat where a whole bunch of us went away. Again, that real intentionality, we went away intentionally to write some songs, and specifically Rock of Our Salvation, we wanted to write something that that we felt St. Peter's and our congregation would really get behind, would really want to sing. That would sort of, that could become a bit of an anthem, I guess, that, that a song that felt, that it could feel like we were singing about this rock, and I don't really know.
Yeah, I think we had that theme, rock. We were like, that's just a really great, and we'd heard hymns and songs about that before, but we thought, and let's see if we can write a real church anthem like Sarah said. So.
Well, let's hear it, shall we? This is Rock of Our Salvation by Bright City. You can cheer. Well, we don't have time to play the whole song, but it is on the record, which is out on Friday. Still Volume 2 by Bright City. Thank you so much for your company. Thank you for the whole team who've been here tonight. We're almost out of time, and if we haven't managed to answer your question tonight, don't worry, because we're going to be sticking around and do some after party, after hours type conversations, which you will see on YouTube very, very soon. But before we go, let me ask all three of you, what do you think is unique about this project? Because we've had instrumental praise and worship albums before, but this is the first one Bright City has done. So what's unique about what you've done?
I guess us. Is maybe an easy answer. Yeah, there's nothing like this that's been produced by us before. It's unique to our team, and it definitely tells a bit of the story of what's happening here in Brighton. That's really exciting, I think, to show off and kind of help other people experience a bit of the love we have for Brighton and our city, and the excitement and inspiration that brings us. And
I think probably like you've reflected on with the electronic, all the different sounds. And we really feel like it's the sound of St. Peter's Church, but also the sound of our city a bit. And we're trying to capture that in it. So, and when you see the visuals of Brighton, it is all that.
Yeah, lots of twists and turns.
Twists and turns. And Paul, just lastly, what are you hoping that people will take away from this album?
I think just that if you're a Christian and that it creates space for you to meet with God, and be still, and whoever the listener is, that they say they're outside the church, or that it would be a bridge to Jesus and connect you with the living God. I think, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your company. Thank you for your insight. Thank you for talking us through your new album. Still Volume 2 is out on Friday. That's right. And stick around, because there's an exclusive play of Waiting Here for You on this very channel later on tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your company.
Thank you.
We hope that we get to talk to you again very, very soon. A round of applause to all of you as well. Thanks for being here. Still Volume 2 is out on Friday. Thanks for watching.